catching up on some hoops here with Rob to learn a little bit more about, one of the games that I would say one of the more beautiful games on new gen consoles was NBA 2K14.
Right.
This year, what kind of changes? Because the first year on a new generation of consoles, you only want to get it out there. You perhaps cannot innovate as much as you want. What kind of changes is there in this year's edition?
We actually had done a lot of innovation last year. That entire game was built parallel with our current gen, but on a brand new engine. And this year, we were just taking that engine and just really just stepping up and finishing the polish that maybe as you're trying to get that push and that first generation of consoles out can kind of miss in a little bit of a feature here or two. However, we never rest on our laurels, so we actually put a full slate of work in this year. I mean, my career mode is brand new. We haven't announced all details that are in it yet, but
you can tell us.
No. Unfortunately, I can't. I could tell you, and then I'd pack my bags and leave. But no. The truth is, it's brand new. But people love that story mode, so we're going to continue along that line. We also are bringing back My GM, which people loved. Graphically, we've improved it. Believe it or not, it's like it was already great. More scans, better facial animation. This year, for the first time in any full-on sports game that I know, we actually have animating hair as a detail. We worked on crowd reactions, animations, brought back cheerleaders, mascots, just all the details that you would expect in a true simulation. But at the heart of everything we do is our gameplay. It's what our fans have come back to our game for year in and year out. And this year the simulation gets even deeper. Better movement, way smoother than you've ever seen our game have before. Part of it is artificial intelligence changes kind of at the base layer of how we decide to move and why we decide to move that have been improved. A better understanding of context. So, I move a specific way if we're on a transition play, but if we're in half court, now I relax, open up, and kind of move completely different way. That stuff is actually being taken in consideration. A lot of the stuff that we spent time of trying to fix is responsiveness to the user, and even more so, reactions that reflect what you saw. So like a perfect example is rebounding. Last year, one of the things we didn't like was the fact that sometimes you could be in the right place, hit a button, and the guy either wouldn't jump or he'd jump and miss it. And that's frustrating to the user because you've done everything right, so your end result should match what you've done. And so we've done that. Or contact, going to the basket and missing a shot that seemingly should be easy, only because the engine has said, no, well, you got hit, that was a foul, so now you should be missing it. Doesn't mean anything to the end user. So we worked a lot on contact, on shots, driving through traffic, trying to beat your defender, and just making that game feel fully balanced. We've also worked on variety on teams, how you see them, how they approach the game. So a team like Miami, who was mostly outside shooters with just Chris Bosh in the middle, versus playing against the San Antonio Spurs, we're going to show up with two bigs and the traditional three outside perimeter guys. Different teams have kind of different ways of attacking you. I could go into this forever and ever, but but the game is just that much more than it was last year.
I think that, from my perspective, one of the things that's most difficult to sort of portray in a basketball game is just the difference in physicality between players and how they move and bump into each other, because it's a very physical game. And always, technically, if you read the rule book, it's not a physical game against each other, but it is very physical, and that's very difficult to portray in a video game.
It is because for one thing, you're not supposed to do it, but you see it. And when you try to portray physicality, a lot of time it takes away control. And people are all about control, But, we've done a fairly good job this year in terms of kind of marrying the two things and making people feel like, hey, you know what? There's my reaction. I started off and then I got hit. Oh, look, I really missed this shot. Or hey, look, that guy's bumping me or keeping me out of there. I wish that we could do more. And that's, to me, there's the ceiling that we haven't reached, is because there is so much more physicality in the game than what has ever been portrayed in our basketball games. And we're starting to get there, so very slowly.
Is it a question of not locking players into animations for too long and things like that?
That's part of it. Part of it is also context, because basketball players squeeze through really tight spaces. But unlike,
we're also used to playing video games where we can do that, and it's sort of like breaking reality.
But when you look at it, I'll give you an example. The ball in basketball is traveling in a 3D perspective because it has to go down and come back up. When you play games like soccer games or a game like football where you're actually holding the ball, creating that physicality of squeezing through doesn't have to account for that ball needs to get there too. So it's still one of those things that we're trying to kind of solve and get. It's like tight roping the sideline or things like that in basketball. Well, in football it's easy because it's just my feet. In basketball, it's my feet and the body trying to avoid the ball going out. So, we're going to get there, but those are, that's the holy grail for me.
Well, the search for the holy grail continues, but we'll get to see NBA 2K15 this fall?
Yes, October 10th. It'll be out for Xbox 360, PS3, Xbox One, and PS4, and on PC, which this year for the first time is going to be on the next generation platform, base engine.
All right. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Beware, take care.